Dear students, parents and colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Angela Luca and I'm Kültür2000 Koleji International Baccalaureate Diploma Program Coordinator. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to the 5th Kültür Nobel Talks live streaming. In times of social distancing, lockdowns and travel restrictions, it is our desire as educators to tailor unique learning experiences for our students and encourage them to keep learning and searching for knowledge. In line with this principle, today we are honored by the presence of Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, an Indian international acclaimed child rights activist and a Nobel Peace Laureate. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to Nobel Talks live streaming. How do you do?
Good afternoon. I'm fine. Thank you, Angela. Lovely.
Thank you so much. I would like to spend a few words about your prize motivation. Mr. Satyarthi was awarded 2014 Nobel Peace Prize for his struggle against the suppression of children and young people and for the right of all children to education. He shared this prize with Miss Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani activist for female education. Sir, in your 2015 TED Talk, Get Angry at Injustice, you stated that anger isn't bad as we were taught for centuries and that we can convert it for a larger good of the society. You spoke to motivate young people to channelize their anger to create a better world for children and also to bring positive change. So according to your experience, do you think that young people are angry enough at the injustices being done?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I am so happy to be with the young friends. So don't consider me as a Nobel laureate, though your series of speeches is a Nobel series or whatever, but you can consider me as a friend because I have been working with the young people for last half a decade, 50 years or so, very directly, and I feel that young people, the children are the solutions. Many people think that the youth, adolescents and children are naughty and they create problems or they are problems, but I am just opposite to it. I don't agree with this notion. I strongly feel that young people are purer, full of energy, full of enthusiasm and bright people. So you are full of solutions. We are a little bit polluted. Many of us are polluted in our minds and hearts, but you are still pure. So I'm talking to a group of honest, transparent, clean-hearted, energetic, enthusiastic young people. So having said that, I can say that anger is a good idea. For years, centuries, we were taught in all our religions and preachings that suppress your anger, control your anger, and so on and so forth. I would say that don't control your anger. The only thing you can do or you should do that when anger is created out of hatred and result in further hatred. If anger is born out of jealousy or some sort of personal loss or loss of vested interest or egos, when your ego is hurt, you feel angry, this is negative. This is bad. This is destructive. So anger should not be born out of these negative feelings, and anger should not result in the negativity like hatred, violence, destructions, and so on. Anger is an energy. And energy never vanishes. If you try to suppress the energy, then it will come out in different forms, in different ways, and it could be destructive also. So why can't that energy be properly channelized and keep it as an energy for something better? So when we try to learn to be angry against wrongs around us, there are so many wrongs, so many injustices, so many problems which people are facing, untruth. So keep that energy intact to fight with that injustice and wrong instead of fighting with each other. So energy could be used and channelized to create new ideas, and those ideas could be converted into action, positive action, constructive actions, and so on. Let me share with you, my dear friends, that many of the incidents where I was very angry, I was not revengeful. I did not jump into fight or take the revenge of someone. I kept it. And I started thinking that how can we find the solutions to those problems. If you allow, I will share the very first incident of my school day, the very first day of my school, in fact, when I was 5.5 years old. And I saw a cobbler boy, my age, sitting outside the school gate. And that made me upset and a little bit angry.
You were a teacher, right?
No, I was a child. I was 5-year-old.
When you were a child?
Yeah, when I was a child in the first day of my school. So I went to my classroom, of course, and I tried to make friends and I tried to introduce myself with my teacher. But in my first introduction, because I was angry from inside, I asked to my teacher that, sir, why this child is sitting outside the school gate and not with the rest of us in our classroom? He said, stop for a while. This is your first day. Be familiar with the school norms and rules. This is not uncommon. Poor children help the family. They are poor people. So concentrate your mind in your school. Now, this is your first day. So I said, okay, sir.
Okay.
Next morning, next afternoon. So every day I start getting more and more angry. And one day I gathered my courage and I went straight to him and his father. Father was also working alongside, polishing shoes and repairing shoes, etc. So I asked him why I was shy. But father said that, sir, I never thought about it. My grandfather, my father and I started going to school since we were children. And so is my son, he said. And then he, with his miserable eyes and voice, he said, sir, you guys are born to go to school, but we are born to work. Out of anger, I started crying. As a 5-year-old boy, I had no idea what is this all about, the Indian caste system and this rigidity of social hierarchy and so on. So I was very, very angry, very upset. But that has given me tremendous result. I started questioning wrongs around me. I started thinking that whatever my teachers, my parents and my relatives and wise people say may not be true. If there is some complacency of the rigidity of mind, of the customs and beliefs and myths, and they go on in the society for ages. So I should challenge that evil. So I started thinking of child labor. I started thinking of denial of education. And I am thankful to that cobbler boy. I am grateful to his father as well, who made an ordinary child, Kailash Satyarthi, due to my own anger.
Okay, I see, sir. Thank you very much for your reply. It's very interesting to listen to your experience in a country that we don't know very much. Sorry, I apologize for asking you again, but could you please come a little bit closer to the camera, because I see you. I would like to see you a little bit closer, if you don't mind. Yes, this is perfect. I'm sorry to ask that again, but we would like to see you. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Now, Kültür and Kültür2000 College students, they made some research about your tireless activism to protect the rights of voiceless children. And they would appreciate the opportunity to ask you some questions. Yep. We're going to listen to them one by one. Okay, so we're ready now to listen to question number 1, prepared by our student, Yels.
Hi, my name is Yağız Yaşar and I'm studying in Kültür Koleji Science High School. Mr. Satyarthi, you stated that my only aim in life is to make sure that every child is free, goes to school, plays, loves, and gets all of these rights free of charge. My dream comes true when each child feels like a child and be free. Have you ever been able to approach this dream?
Well, it was my dream, it is my dream, and it will remain forever, because when I started freeing children physically in 1981, the first dream came true. I was able to build the confidence inside me that it is possible. Though it was very, very difficult, that was the first recorded, I would say, documented case in India or elsewhere in the world in contemporary time, that a civilian effort has been put to liberate slaves. That I did in 1981, and when a very poor Muslim gentleman, his name was Wasal Khan, when Khan approached me because his daughter was about to be sold to a brothel, and the girl who was born in and brought up in slavery could have been sold to prostitution. So desperate father knocked my door, and I did not want to simply write his problem, but I wanted to help him. So I started thinking, if his daughter Sabo was my sister or my daughter, what would I do? I was 25, 26-year-old. So again, I was angry, but I was converting my anger into ideas and action for liberating that girl and other family members, which I did. And that was the great joy for me. And since then, my organization and I have physically liberated over 80,000 child laborers and child slaves directly like this. So each time when a child is freed, and the mothers who lost all their hope that their son can ever come and sit in the lap and they can hug and kiss him like mother and child, or the fathers who hug their daughters when they are freed and their fathers have lost all the hope. Each time when it happens, I feel that I'm going closer to fulfill my dream each time, because each child matters, each childhood matters, each human being matters, each humanity matters. So it is fulfilling my dream. And that is like seeing the glimpse of God when these mothers cry out of joy and the tears roll down on their cheeks, because they thought that the child has been trafficked, has been stolen, has been enslaved and can never come back. So there's no word to explain that joy. But Yasser, it was not enough. So we started fighting for laws in India, in Pakistan, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, neighboring countries, and later on globally. And in 1998, when we organized a physical march across 103 countries, considering that every child is my child, every child is my child, I am not going to fail him. I'm not going to let him, die in slavery and without education, without healthcare, and so on. So this march, which was 80,000 kilometers march, double than the periphery of the earth, resulted in an international law in 1999. 98 was the 6-month-long march from 3 corners of the world. So in 99, the ILO Convention, or International Law Against Worst Forms of Child Labor, has been unanimously adopted by the General Assembly of International Labour Organization, which is a kind of the body of United Nations. So since then, that time the number of child laborers in the world was, in 2000 actually, in 2000 the number was 260 million. Now it has come down to 150 million.
I see.
So 110 lesser number of children are working in child labor in 16 years, between 2000 and 2016 or 2017. So 16, 17 years we have been able to achieve it. So this is achievable, this is affordable, this is possible, and this is going to happen. Of course, the new challenges due to the corona pandemic came, so I'm quite concerned about it. But I'm not going to give up. I'm fighting for it and trying to build a strong voice of Nobel laureates and the world leaders, and approaching every single head of the state, every single government directly, and requesting them that these children who are most vulnerable and marginalized should not fall off track. So they should be educated, their school and education has to be made intact, and more resources should be spent on their safety, education, and health.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your efforts. These efforts are beneficial to everybody, to humankind in general. Thank you so much. We're ready now to listen to question number 2, prepared by our student, Hilal.
Hello, I'm Hilal Chikel from Kültür2000 High School, class 10D. And today I wanted to ask you that you devoted yourself for children's rights and education. While you're struggling with their rights, I'm sure you're faced with a lot of difficulties. How did you overcome them? And thank you.
Well, the road of social transformation, road of justice, road of humanity, road of peace, road of love is not a smooth and convenient and easy way to walk. It's not an easy course. But when you are convinced, first of all, that something is wrong, when you are convinced that if not you, then who else? If not here, then where? If not now, then when? And once you get that conviction inside you, then you have to clean up that road, or sometimes you have to build that road or even pathway to achieve your goal, which should be clear in your mind that you are going to do it. So that conviction, courage, and compassion. So compassion is the feeling for suffering of others as your own suffering, with a drive to take action to end that suffering, to solve that suffering. That is compassion. That is called Rahman. So Rahim and Rahman are the part of the prayer, the Muslim prayer. Similarly, there are huge importance in Hinduism, in Judaism, in Christianity, everywhere, compassion is the key. Buddhism. So for me, my drive has always been compassion. I won't say that my conviction or my courage, perhaps my courage or conviction, whatever was there, it followed my compassion. But I was driven by a deep compassion. And for me, the compassion is not just a religious and a spiritual thing to be taught or preached in the holy places or holy books. Compassion is the way of life. Compassion is the connect with every other person and his or her pain as your own pain. But compassion is also the connect with trees and plants and animals and birds and sky and sun and moon and air and water and oceans, rivers, everything. And we have to feel the compassion for them so that we can protect our earth, we can protect our planet. And you can, when you talk of sustainability or sustainable development, or to protect ecology and get rid of global warming, you have to be compassionate to these things which are not living beings, but we have to be thankful and grateful to them for our lives. So that is one. The second thing is that I always learn to celebrate small successes. Some people dream for the big success in life or big achievement in life. And it takes time, or sometimes you cannot achieve that much amount of your success, or sometimes it is delayed, and you feel failed and frustrated. It happens. And then you are discouraged, and then you are disillusioned with your own goal and your own dream. But when you learn to celebrate and enjoy every single step of your success, then it will give you courage from inside. And then you can take next step and next step. You fail or pass, but you keep on taking it. Sometimes you have to go back and then back and forth, but eventually you keep walking. So that is the second thing. And the third equally important thing is that whenever I was or my people have been attacked, whenever the media controlled by the powerful people tried to demolish my image or try to defame me, I always think that, oh, they are getting weak and perhaps I am stronger. So they are frightened with me, but they are also frightened with all those injustices and wrongs which they are making in their lives. So they are either guilty or frightened. So why I should be afraid of them? If they are trying to kill me, it means they feel that I am much more powerful than them. And they wanted to just eliminate me so that they can do what they are doing. So these things I learned in my life through my own experience. And of course, I learned from the great heroes and the great saints and the great people from all across the world.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to read next question because one of our students couldn't join us today. It's well known that unfortunately the issue of children rights has not been given enough priority by many communities as it deserves. However, thanks to well-respected volunteers like you, thousands of children get their rights every year. So it is admirable that you have saved from slavery, trafficking and exploitation over 90,000 children from India in the last 4 decades through direct intervention, and several millions through your campaigns and top-level policy and advocacy efforts in over 114 countries. So the student really wondered how you achieved this, and if you could explain about the process, if you could inform us about the process.
Well, it was not done by me, first of all. There are so many known and unknown individuals, groups and organizations who made huge sacrifices. And I have no words to be grateful to them, to thank them. My colleagues, my family, my friends, and all those who were inspired by me or who were convinced by my idea even without working with me, and they started working on their own to fight child labor and child slavery. I am also thankful to them. So that has happened this way. So first of all, we must realize that then there's an old saying that we can walk faster alone, but together we can walk longer.
Okay.
So togetherness is the key. So first strategy was that I learned how to build that togetherness and coalitions. 3 of my colleagues have sacrificed their life. They've made the supreme sacrifice. Dhumdas, Adarsh Kishore and Kalu Kumar. And my thousands of volunteers and colleagues know that it was so risky that anybody could have been killed. I have been beaten up, attacked several times, and the gun was put on my head, and I have my broken leg, my broken right shoulder, and my broken back, and so on. So, but I never gave up. It does not mean that I was very any extraordinary person. As an ordinary person can also do these things if convinced. So making coalitions, working in coordination with others, building your teams is one major strategy or major way of working. The second one was that whatever dream I had to make it as a shared dream. Everybody should dream in the same way who is working for the cause and take the ownership as well as the credit. So in my Nobel acceptance speech, I have given credit by naming those people whom I could do it, especially these young people who sacrificed their lives, including one in Pakistan. This is another thing. But I would say that consistency also matters a lot. Sometimes there are so many obstacles, as I was explaining, but there are so many attractions as well as so many incentives as well as many times the politicians, when I became a little bit famous and the media started taking my interviews and so on, even before the Nobel Prize, I got so many other awards. So politicians started approaching that, why don't you join politics and so on from different parties. But I declined because I knew my path, I knew my goal. So I did not divert myself. So consistency also is important when you set your goal. So that's another thing. And finally, we should also learn that the ambitions, the personal ambitions for achieving certain things in life it cannot be completely, wiped out. It cannot be completely, I would say, demolished. But that ambition part, the personal ambition part, should be merged with the ambitions of everyone. So when any success comes, then your whole group or your whole team or organization will celebrate that success. So when many of the children in India and elsewhere were asked after my Nobel Prize that who won the Nobel Prize, and they said, oh, we won the Nobel Prize. It's our Nobel Prize. Maybe my big brother Kailash name was there, but I'm the one who got the Nobel Prize. And I was in tears when these young people spontaneously, responded to the interviewers and media people on the same minute when the prize was announced. So that was even bigger for me than the prize, that the children whom we freed from slavery 10 years ago or 2 years ago or 20 years ago, they were all claiming that they are the Nobel laureates, not just one person. And that was my success. Bigger than
That's
the Nobel
impressive.
Prize.
That's impressive. Congratulations, sir, again. That's a really great achievement for humankind, really. Thank you so much. Okay. We're ready now to listen to question number 4, prepared by our student, Güzden.
Hello, Professor. My name is Güzden Kutoğlu, and I'm an IB student in Kültür2000 College. My question is, everyone faces challenges in life and needs strength and motivation to overcome them. What is the source of your motivation behind your outstanding efforts? Thank you.
My dear daughter Gujen, very, very beautiful daughter, very smart daughter, you are my inspiration.
That's
All
a good answer.
Those who ask these questions are my inspiration. Those who have courage to question are my inspiration. Those who are concerned about such issues are my inspiration. So, most importantly, the young people everywhere in the world are my inspiration. And I know that my mission will never end. I will never end. I will never die, because my young friends will keep it alive and bring a smile and peace on the face of every child and everywhere. My young friends will learn something from me which I can say that I never ever considered. It never came to my mind, the whole divide of humanity in the name of countries and nations and borders. I cannot understand The earth is one for everyone, and why the borders were created. The God is one for everyone. Why we may have different ways of worships and prayers, but why we are fighting? Why we are creating, difference and discriminations, and why don't we believe and trust, and then eventually respect the diversity of opinions and worships and so on. So I believe in the oneness of humanity, and not believe, I always practice that oneness of humanity, because we people are giving you, we means the politicians who are in 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s across the world, they are giving you a world with lot of challenge. How to protect this earth, how to protect the humanity, how to protect human beings from the pandemics and all kind of things which are born or may born in the future. So we are going to give a challenging world. I confess it. And that word is word of fakeness and untruth and violence and wars and so on. The refugee crisis. The earth is for everyone. That's why we call some people as refugees and so on. I'm very confused, I would say, to understand that kind of politics and that kind of history and geography and so on. So you can, when you take this over, you will make this world one family, one world. And that is the solution. Otherwise, we cannot survive. Our existence would be in serious challenge. You will do it.
Thank you so much, sir, for your reply. We are now ready to listen to question number 5, prepared by our student, Sena Dilara.
Hi, I'm Sena Karpınar, and I'm 11th grader in Kültür Science High School. What I want to ask you today was, according to research, at the age of 11, you collected used books and distributed them to children in need. How did you come up with this philanthropic consciousness at that young age, and what inspired you? Thank you for your time.
I don't know really, but perhaps it was right from the day one of my schooling, as I mentioned, of the cobbler boy's story. But I felt that some of my colleagues have left schools because their parents were very poor and they could not afford a school fee or syllabus books and so on. And that was very painful. That we go to school and my colleagues did not join in the next grade, and they suddenly disappeared from my classroom and also from my adjoining bench or chair. So one of my colleagues and I started thinking that what to do. So we decided to launch this drive to collect used books so that the needy students can make use of it for 1 year, and then they can return it to the school headmasters so that it could be, recycled to the next batch of students and so on. So it can go on. But that was basically in a drive that why should I simply feel pain if my best friend has dropped out of school? I should do something. So if your mind goes in the direction to find solutions, raising questions is one thing. As I said, it is good to raise questions against wrong, but it is much more important, but much more challenging to go for finding the answers to those questions, solutions to those problems. So right from the beginning, if you think that you can be a problem solver, then you are the true leader. You are the true human being. The real true leader in any walks of life, it could be industry, it could be corporations, it could be politics, religions, anywhere, health, education, those who have their solution orientation, their mind looks for solutions. Or even scientists. Scientists always go for innovation, but that is basically finding the solutions and going one step up. So I somehow built up my mindset that I should not stop when I find a problem, but can be a solution. So I started collecting the books, and one day my friend and I were pulling a cart, and we were able to collect more than 2,000, almost 2,500 books, and they were distributed to various students. But not that, then the headmasters from various schools and teachers and other students and parents joined, and within few days, 10,000, more than 10,000 books were collected. And almost every needy child in my township, small town, was able to benefit out of it. And I will end with a very inspirational thing for me. When I visited my hometown, Vidisha, in central India, after the Nobel Prize, almost everyone of my town was on the street. Of course, it was a great, great pride for them, and not only for them, but I was the first Indian-born Indian to get the Nobel Peace Prize. So everybody was, you can imagine that they were so emotional and crying out of tears and so on. So one gentleman who was a little bit elderly than me was crying at a distance. So I was sitting in a jeep, and I got down just to greet. I didn't know who was that. There were two people, in fact, and both of them were crying and chanting, Kailash, Kailash, book bank wala Kailash, means book bank man Kailash. They started calling me like that. So then this guy said that I'm just retired as a headmaster, and I was benefited out of your book bank and the books you collected. And so we are standing here with proud that it was possible because of you. So I started crying. I did not cry when the prize was announced, but that was a great prize that somebody was able to study and then worked as a teacher and headmaster.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing with us your experiences. And Mr. Satyarthi, in the name of Istanbul Cultural Education Institutions, I sincerely thank you for joining us at Kültür Nobel Talks. It was a great honor to have you in attendance, and I would also like to thank our students for attending. I hope that you found this event informative and interesting. And thank you so much again, and congratulations for your efforts.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone, all my young friends. God bless you, and may the peace will always be with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, again. Thank you so much.
Khuda Hafiz.